I'm Caleb, 34, and last Sunday, my dad cut me off mid-sentence while my daughter stood bawling for me at her own birthday party. That was the exact moment something in me finally broke. It wasn't the cake smeared all over the ground, or the way she wailed, "Daddy!" with sticky fingers reaching for me. It was the look she gave me, like I had left her. Like I had chosen to disappear on her 6th birthday. And maybe I did, for 5 seconds. But it wasn't on purpose. It was because of him. The party was already a logistical mess, balloons tangling in the ceiling fan, a bubble machine that had apparently studied under Satan himself, and 3 sugared-up cousins in light-up Crocs skidding through my backyard like it was the Indy 500. But Emma, my daughter, she was glowing. Little silver tiara, sparkly tutu, grinning at every guest like she was hosting the Oscars. I'd been divorced for 2 years, and this was my first big solo dad event. Her mom and I kept things civil but distant, think 2 baristas who nod at each other while silently deciding who gets the last oat milk. So it mattered to me, this day. It was my shot to give her something good and intact and joyful. And I had it. Until 3:14 p.m. That's when my dad showed up. Late. No text. No warning. Just strolled in like a sitcom character, wearing boat shoes and a windbreaker despite the fact that we lived nowhere near water and the sky was giving heat stroke. "Hey, sport," he barked, clapping me on the back hard enough to move my spine. "Looks like you really pulled this off. Who helped you? Your mother?" "I did it," I said, already watching Emma's eyes dart to me from across the yard. She was mid-cupcake, mid-laugh, mid-life. "All me," he snorted. Sure. I knew this tone. The one where everything I did had an invisible asterisk. The one he used when I got my MBA. When I bought my house. When I won custody every other week. It always ended with him reminding me what a real man would have done. Usually involving woodworking or combat. But I stayed chill. For Emma. We made it to cake time, just barely, after a dog stole 2 gift bags and a toddler face planted into the lemonade bowl. Emma stood on a chair. I lit the candles. Everyone gathered. I lifted my phone to take the video she'd watch every year until college. That's when she called for me. "Daddy! Next to me!" And I went. Of course I did. I moved through the crowd to take her hand. She was bouncing. Pure sugar and pride. Then my dad, loud, red-faced, shouted over everyone, "Caleb, let the moms handle this part, come talk to me. I want to show you something real quick." Emma's face fell instantly. And I hesitated. I looked at him, then at her. Just for a beat. It was enough. Her mouth opened in a cry like I'd stepped on her heart. She wailed my name like it was a question. "Daddy?" Her voice cracked. I spun back toward her, but she'd already jumped down, frosting in her hair, sobbing so hard the candles never even got blown out. Her mother swept in like a reflex, scooping her up with a look that said, "Are you serious?" "My dad?" He just shrugged. "Geez, you'd think you shot her puppy." I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because my daughter was crying for me. And I'd chosen him for 5 stupid seconds. 5 seconds I can't get back. The thing about breaking isn't that it's loud. It's that it's quiet. Like when an old pipe snaps under your house and you don't know until the kitchen floor floods. That's how it hit me, this low, creeping realization that I'd been letting my dad break me in slow motion for decades. After the cake disaster, I tried to hold it together. I really did. I crouched beside Emma. "Sweetheart, I'm here. I'm right here, okay?" She wouldn't look at me. Her little fingers clutched her mom's shirt like it was a life vest. Her mom, Natalie, didn't say anything cruel. She didn't have to. Her expression was sharp and silent, and it said, "You did this again." That hurt worse than if she'd screamed. I stood up. My hands actually shook. Meanwhile, my dad was chuckling with my Uncle Greg near the grill like we were at some 4th of July barbecue. "Kids cry. You remember when Caleb sobbed over a broken Lego? Like the world was ending?" Laughter. More eye rolls. Emma disappeared into the house. Natalie followed, murmuring something to her about juice and calming down. I was left outside, among the folding chairs and melting cupcakes, while the guy who was supposed to teach me how to be a dad mocked my 6-year-old for needing me. Something in me snapped like a plastic fork under pressure. I walked up to him, calm. Surgical. "Can I talk to you?" I asked. Sure, sure, he said. You see that grill set up, though? You should think about investing. Real men know their way around fire. Dad, I said again, quieter this time. I need to talk to you now. He finally looked at me. Squinted like I'd spoken in a foreign language. You good, sport? You look tight. I led him toward the side of the house, where no kids could hear and no uncles could butt in. The second we were alone, I said it. You ruined her birthday. That wiped the smirk clean off his face. What? You called me away when she was calling for me. You interrupted a moment I'll never get back. He threw up his hands. I didn't know she'd react like that. Kids cry over anything. Don't make this a federal case. It's not about the crying. I snapped. It's about you. Always needing to remind me that I'm not enough. That nothing I do is ever really mine unless it passes your little masculinity test. Oh, come on. You're being dramatic now. No, I said, and my voice cracked just barely. Dramatic is raising your voice at a 6-year-old's birthday party. Dramatic is hijacking the one day I had to make her feel celebrated because you needed attention. He scoffed. So now I'm the villain for wanting a word with my son? You're the villain, I said, because you keep treating me like I'm 12. Like I can't tie my shoes without your approval. But here's the truth, Dad. I don't want your advice. I don't want your commentary. And I sure as hell don't want you pulling me away from my daughter ever again. He stared at me, genuinely shocked. Like no one had ever told him no before. You're blowing this way out of. I am her dad. I cut in. Not you. Me. And I don't need a co-pilot who thinks he's still the captain. And then, I walked away. I left him standing there, arms half-crossed, brain short-circuiting like an old TV set. I didn't go back to the party. I went inside. Emma was curled on the couch, eyes puffy, holding the stuffed unicorn I'd given her that morning. I knelt beside her again. Can I sit? I asked. She nodded without a word. I sat and didn't speak for a while. Just let her lean on me. Her tiny body was warm against mine. Eventually, she whispered, I thought you left. I didn't, sweetheart, I said. I just forgot how important it was to stay. She looked up at me, face blotchy but calmer. Don't forget again. I won't, I promised. And I meant it. That night, after the helium balloons drooped and the last sugar-high cousin finally crashed, I sat alone in my kitchen, staring at a half-eaten slice of unicorn cake and the receipt from the bounce house rental still taped to the fridge. I felt like I'd failed. Again. But not in that flailing, helpless way. No, this felt surgical. Precise. Like my daughter had held up a mirror and shown me the one man I swore I'd never become, and there he was, halfway in my reflection. I called Natalie. Not a text. A call. Bold move considering we usually communicated via calendar invites and kid pickup logistics. She picked up, wary. Is Emma okay? She's fine. Sleeping, I said. Then, I wanted to say thank you. For today. For stepping in. A pause. That's rare, she said, which was fair. Then softer. She really needed you, Caleb. I know. Another beat of silence passed. Then I said it. I think I've been so afraid of failing her that I've been halfway present. Like if I didn't fully show up, I couldn't fully screw up. Natalie didn't say anything right away. Then, gently. That's not how kids work. I know that now. I hung up after we agreed she'd keep Emma an extra night. I needed the space to think. But I didn't go to bed. I sat down and did something I hadn't done in 10 years. I started writing a letter. To my father. It wasn't for him. Not really. It was for me. To say everything I'd swallowed since I was old enough to translate his critiques as love. To drag those quiet shames into daylight. Dear Dad. You once told me real men don't cry. That they handle things. That they don't need help, they figure it out. But I did cry. I cried the night Emma was born, terrified and amazed and so in love I thought I might faint. I cried the day I signed my divorce papers, because I felt like I'd lost something I didn't know how to fix. And I cried today, because for the first time, I saw my daughter look at me like I had chosen someone else over her. Like he used to make me feel. I'm done pretending you didn't damage me. I'm done trying to prove myself to a man who has never once said, "I'm proud of you." Unless it came attached to a backhanded joke about how your old man could have done it faster. You've made me second-guess my instincts. You've made me question whether gentleness was weakness. You made me afraid of becoming the father I actually wanted to be. No more. From now on, I'm choosing my daughter over your legacy. I'm choosing soft over stoic, present over performative. And most of all, love over some weird masculinity measuring stick that left you alone on your porch with a bottle of bourbon and a list of grudges. You don't get to hijack my moments anymore. Not one. Caleb. I didn't send it. I folded it and slipped it in a shoebox where I keep old cards from Emma and the hospital bracelet from the day she was born. That letter was my turning point. The next day, I called a therapist. Made an actual appointment. Not because I was spiraling. Because I wasn't going to wait until I was. That afternoon, I sat down with Emma and helped her build a Lego castle. The kind I used to beg for on my birthdays. The kind my dad always told me was for lazy kids who didn't want to play outside. We built it together. Every brick. Every tower. And when it was done, she turned to me and said, "You didn't leave." I smiled. "Nope. I'm right here." And this time, I wasn't going anywhere. The thing about setting a boundary with someone like my dad is, they think it's a joke. A phase. Something you'll apologize for once you've calmed down, or come to your senses. So when I stopped replying to his texts a week after the party, he noticed. And when I didn't answer his call on Tuesday, or Thursday, or Saturday, he really noticed. By Sunday afternoon, he was on my porch. Like a storm cloud in khakis. Knocking. Not aggressively, but in that calculated dad knock way, like the house owed him something. I opened the door, but only halfway. Emma wasn't home. Natalie had taken her to a puppet show downtown. Perfect timing. "You screening my calls now?" he said, straight-faced. "No hello?" "No," I said calmly. "I'm setting a boundary." He blinked like I'd said I was joining the circus. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm not going to let you keep pushing yourself into moments that aren't about you." He looked over my shoulder, probably hoping to pivot to grandpa mode. "Where's the birthday girl?" "She's not here. And this isn't about her right now." He didn't like that. His mouth tightened into that familiar line, half disappointed coach, half disappointed CEO. "You know, you're sounding a lot like your mother." "Good," I said. She raised me. "You just made commentary." He flinched. "Just barely." Then he regrouped. "Look, if this is about last weekend, I already told your Uncle Greg." "It's not about one weekend," I said. "It's about a pattern." He crossed his arms. "You've got a chip on your shoulder, son. Always have. You read too many self-help books, think everything's trauma now. And you think everything's fine as long as no one talks about it." I shot back. "That's not strength, Dad. That's fear with a loud voice." That hit harder than I meant it to. He stepped back like I'd nudged him with a shovel. "Jesus," he muttered. "So what, this is it? You're cutting me out?" "No," I said. "I'm inviting you back in, but only if you come in differently." He didn't move. "Differently how?" he asked, voice hoarse. "Like a man who listens. Who doesn't bark orders at a 6-year-old's birthday. Who knows when to be quiet." He exhaled hard. Looked away. Then he did something I never expected. He sat. Right there on my porch step. Didn't argue. Didn't deflect. Just sat. After a long silence, he said, "I don't know how to do that. The quiet stuff." I sat down beside him. "You don't have to get it perfect," I said. "You just have to stop treating my life like a place you get to supervise." He chuckled. "That hard, huh? Harder than it should have been." We sat there, two grown men in lawn chairs that creaked like they were judging us. Then he said something that made my throat tighten. "Do you remember your 5th birthday?" "No," I said. "Should I?" He nodded. "I missed it. Work trip. Could have rescheduled. Didn't." I looked at him, but he kept his eyes on the sidewalk. "You cried, apparently. Wouldn't eat cake. Your mom was furious." He ran a hand through his thinning hair. "I thought if I made enough money, bought enough stuff, it would balance out. I didn't get that it wasn't about the party." It was about me not showing up. It was the closest thing to an apology I'd ever heard. And it hurt in a weird, gentle way. I'm trying not to do that to Emma, I said. But I need you not to be the voice in my head telling me to be tougher instead of being present. He nodded slow. I hear you, he said. And for once, I believed him. He stood, patted my shoulder awkwardly, and left without another word. No final jab. No lecture. Just silence. It was progress. I didn't expect anything to really change after that porch talk. One half-decent conversation doesn't undo 3 decades of dad-shaped landmines. But something did shift. Not a miracle, but a gear. The next time my dad saw Emma, it was at her ballet class the following Thursday. Normally, he would have made some comment like, "Looks like you're training her to pirouette out of real life." But that day, he just watched. Quietly. Clapped when she did her bow. Later, when she ran to me with sparkles in her eyes and said, "Did you see my twirl, Daddy?" He didn't interrupt. He didn't compete. That might sound like nothing. To me, it was everything. Emma fell asleep that night in her leotard, still talking about how Grandpa stayed the whole class and even brought her strawberry milk. I texted Natalie just, "He's trying." She replied, "Good. Keep it slow." And we did. But here's the thing, trying doesn't erase what's already etched. That weekend, Emma wanted to watch old home videos. She dug out the bin of DVDs and asked, "Was I cute when I was 2?" I told her she was nuclear-grade adorable. Then we popped in a disc from 2019, when she turned 1. And there it was. Her birthday. I'd forgotten we even filmed it. I watched myself in the video, 28, stressed, trying too hard. Balloons falling off the fence, store-bought cupcakes, me running around while holding her like a football and whisper yelling about the ants on the table. Then I heard his voice in the background. "Just let her cry, Caleb. She'll toughen up." Emma had been wailing because she fell in the grass and scraped her knee. 1-year-old drama? The kind of thing that needs a hug, not a sports commentator yelling, "She's fine." And there I was, back then, doing what I'd been trained to do. Shoving down my instincts, letting my father override me. "I did cry a lot," Emma said, munching on a cracker, totally unfazed. "You were a baby," I said. "That's allowed. Did you cry too?" I paused. "Not then," I said. "But I wanted to." And that was the first time she looked at me not like I was a superhero or a vending machine for snacks, but like I was a person. Real. Soft. Still learning. After I put her to bed, I sat in the living room and watched the rest of the footage alone. And I could see it. The way my dad hovered behind everything like a one-man audience I was always trying to impress. No wonder I felt like I was never in the moment. I was busy performing. The next morning, I printed a photo from this year's party, the one someone else took after the cake chaos. It was of me, kneeling on the grass, holding Emma's hand while she cried. Her face red and furious. My face scared but present. We both looked real. I framed it. Put it right next to the one my dad had always insisted should go on the mantel, me in a Little League uniform, holding a trophy I barely remember earning. This was my new trophy. My daughter mid-meltdown. Me, with her in it. Because I'm not trying to be the polished version anymore. I'm trying to be the real thing. Later that day, I got a text from my dad. Just 4 words, "Thanks for the talk." It was the first time he hadn't added a "but." And maybe that's how it begins. Not with a grand gesture. But with 4 quiet words from the loudest man I know. It was a Wednesday when the real test came. Not some dramatic movie scene moment, just life. Raw. Unscheduled. A little cruel in its timing. Emma was sick. Not sniffly. Not, she's got the sniffles. Sick. I mean curled up in my lap, cheeks flushed, throwing up everything she touched. A fever that made her tremble, then cry because she didn't understand why her body felt like fire. I canceled my meetings. Put my phone on silent. Sat on the couch with her head on my chest and a Bluey marathon playing softly in the background. She wasn't even watching. She just liked the sound. So did I. It was the only thing keeping either of us calm. She needed me. And this time, I didn't flinch. I didn't delegate. I didn't call Natalie. I stayed. I was her dad, and I was right there. It was around 2 p.m., p.m., when my phone buzzed. My dad. I almost didn't answer. Not out of anger, just muscle memory. The way you step over a loose tile on your porch without even thinking about it. But something made me swipe. "Hey," I said. "You okay?" he asked. "You didn't send the Wednesday photo." That stopped me. See, I'd started texting him one photo of Emma every Wednesday. A quiet truce, no commentary. Just a picture. A bridge. He never responded with anything but a thumbs up or, "She's growing fast." But he noticed when it didn't come. "She's sick," I said. His voice dropped. "Bad?" "Yeah." He was quiet a long moment. Then, softly, "Need anything?" I didn't answer right away. Because this was the real test. Would he show up to help? Or to take over? Would he let me be the dad? "Maybe," I said slowly. "Ginger ale, crackers. She won't eat, but maybe if they're from someone else." "On it," he said. "I'll leave it on the porch." No joke. No, back in my day, we just rubbed dirt on it. No performance. 20 minutes later, he texted, "It's there." When I opened the door, the bag was simple: 2 bottles of ginger ale, a box of saltines, and a small note in his unmistakable handwriting. "Let me know if you need backup. Or just rest." He signed it. Dad. Not Pop. Not the old man. Just Dad. I read the note 3 times. It didn't say "I'm sorry for all the years I made you feel small." It didn't try to rewrite the past. But for the first time, it didn't demand space either. It offered it. That night, Emma finally fell asleep around 9 p.m. Wrapped in my hoodie, clutching an old stuffed flamingo. I sat beside her, sipping warm ginger ale, and staring at the photo on my phone, the one I'd meant to send earlier. She was blowing out candles in that ridiculous unicorn tiara. Mid-laugh. Frosting on her chin. I sent it. Just the photo. No caption. A minute later, my dad replied, "That's a good one." And it was. Because this time, she wasn't looking around for me. She wasn't crying. She was whole. And I was there. Right where I belong.